गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुर्गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। अपार करुणा सिंधुं ज्ञानदं शान्तरूपिणं श्रीचन्द्रशेखरेन्द्र गुरुं प्रणमामि मुदान्वहं। सद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। Any field of science or philosophy, it concerns with three things. Any field of study that we take, it is either to explore, or it is to better understand the following three things, either one or all of the following three things. And these three things in our Shastras is called as Tattvaha. There are three Tattvas that we all, science, mathematics, any field of study, any field of systematic study, they want to understand. So what are the three tattvas? Tattvatrayam. Tattva means tattva. Traya means three. There are tattvatrayani. What are the tattvatrayas? They are Jiva, Jagat, and Ishvara. Jiva, the self. Who am I? That is Jiva. Then Jagat. Jagat means the universe that is apart from us. I am there, and there are several entities that I see which are not me. The laptop in front of me is part of the Jagat, is part of the universe. The table in front of me is part of the universe. This whole earth is part of the universe, the Jagat. You can go Milky Way galaxy, you can take a black hole, everything falls into the category of the Jagat, the universe. Jiva, the self. I am, the nature of the self. Jagat, the nature of the universe. And if we accept Jiva and Jagat, then there has to be somebody who has created them both. I see a laptop in front of me. The laptop has not miraculously appeared right in front of me. The laptop, the MacBook, say it is designed by Apple in California. It is made in China or made in USA. So there has to be a creator who has created this laptop. By the simple extension of this fact, whatever the things that I see surrounded me, they all have been man-made. They all have been created. Then, if I extend that logic, then this whole Jagat and the Jiva has to be created by somebody. The water bottle is present in front of me. The water bottle is manufactured in a certain country, in a certain factory, at a such and such date. The cell phone is in front of me. The cell phone is designed by somebody. The cell phone is manufactured by somebody at such and such date. In the same way, the whole Jagat that is in front of me, including my own self, has to be created by somebody. It is pure logic. It has to be created by somebody. Then who is that creator? The whatever field of study, either science or spirituality, they all care about these three things. The field of biology, because we think that we are this body, then you go into this field of biology, you go into this field of medicine. There is a doctor who specializes only in eyes. There is a doctor who studies only our teeth. There is a doctor who studies only the heart, specialty, super specialty, super specialty, not even at the organ level. There are people who will study only the DNA, who will study only RNA. So there are people who want to study the Jiva. For them, Jiva is body. We are changing the definition in Viveka Chudamani. But for scientists, Jiva is the body, the self is the body. So there are studies, there are fields of studies which concentrate on Jiva. And if we take physics, chemistry, all the other faculty of science, that is all about studying the Jagat. That is all about studying the universe. Botany, I see a plant in front of me. How does that plant grow? That is study of Jagat. Galaxies, planets, stars, how are they formed? That is a field of studying this whole Jagat, the whole universe. How come atoms formed? What are they? When did atoms form? All those things, Big Bang Theory, all those things are one or the other, the study of Jagat, that is the universe that is in front of me. But the problem with science is that the science does not acknowledge Ishvara, who is the creator of the Jiva and the Jagat. Why? Because science accepts only those things that can be comprehended by the human mind. Only those things which can be comprehended by the human mind, only those things are accepted by science. Because Ishvara is beyond the realm of human mind, science does not accept Ishvara. In fact, science can neither prove Ishvara, science can neither disprove Ishvara. We have a weighing scale. The weighing scale can only measure weight, kilograms or pound, whatever that is weight, that is mass, only those things can be measured by a weighing scale. You cannot use a weighing scale to measure how long my computer is. I can use the weighing scale to measure how heavy my laptop is. But I can never use weighing scale to measure how long my laptop is. If in order to measure the length of the laptop, I need to use something, a meter scale or a measuring tape. Only with tape, I can measure the length of the laptop. If I want to know the weight of the laptop, I need to use a weighing scale. In the same way, since the human mind cannot comprehend Ishvara, just like how a weighing scale cannot be used to either prove or disprove the length of the laptop, in the same way, because science and human mind, Ishvara does not fall under the realm of science or fall under the realm of human mind. Ishvara can neither be proved nor be disproved by science. But according to Shastra, because Shastra does not depend upon human brain. Shastra depends upon the wisdoms of rishis. Shastra depends upon the wisdoms of Veda. Shastra takes Veda as a pramana itself. Therefore, Shastra can talk about Ishvara, who has created both the Jiva and the Jagat. And in Viveka Chudamani, we are going to study about all these three entities. We are going to study about Jiva. We are studying about Jiva. Jagat is going to come. Ishvara also is going to come. We are going to see the relationship between the Jiva, Jagat, and Ishvara. All of those things we are going to see. But now we currently are studying about the Jiva, the nature of the self. We are studying about our own self. And the methodology that Shastra teaches, the methodology that Viveka Chudamani teaches, based upon Vedanta, based upon Upanishads, is called as Panchakosha Vilakshanaha, meaning Atman, the self, is something other than these five koshas: Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, and Anandamaya kosha. All these five koshas are Anatma. Anatma means what? Anatma, Atma, self, Anatma, non-self. All these five koshas are not our own self, and our own self is something other than these five. All these things we have seen in the previous class. Panchanam api koshanam nishedhe yuktitaha shrutehe tan nishedhavadhi sakshi bodharupo vasishyate. Panchanam api koshanam nishedhe yuktitaha shrute. Using shruti and yukti, the Guru said, do negation of these pancha koshas. Whatever that is remaining after the negation, that is whatever that witnesses all these five koshas. Tan nishedavadhi sakshi, whatever the witness consciousness which which does all these negations, that is called as your own self, says Acharya. The major mistake that many students of Vedanta does is the following thing. Whenever we study about Atman, many people who even study Vedanta, who has undergone years of Vedantic studies, I'm talking about 10 years and 20 years of Vedantic studies, they still try to study about Atman as an object. I am studying the tree that is in front of me. That tree is an object. I have no relationship with that tree, and I objectify the tree and I study about that tree. That is studying tree as an object. But when we say Atman, Atma is not an entity that is separate from me. Atma, it is not like an object. Atma is not an object to be studied, but Atma is the very self to be understood. So from now on, whenever Viveka Chudamani says Atma or Jiva, I am going to replace that word with a capital I. Whenever Viveka Chudamani says the word Atma or Jivaha, because the problem is when teaching we say Atman, 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 that Atman becomes any other object. It is like studying this water bottle. When I study water bottle, I study, okay, this water bottle is made up of this one. This water bottle has got all these utilities. I have no problem in accepting that water bottle as an object. But that is not the case with Viveka Chudamani. That is not the case with Vedanta, because Vedanta does not talk about any object. It talks about the very subject himself. So whenever the word Atma comes, we have to start practicing owning up that Atman. So we have to say, I panchanamapi koshanam nishede yuktitaha shrute. I remain after the negation of the panchakoshas. And here, what is my nature? The lakshanam of Atman, the lakshanam for the self, the lakshanam for I is given here. Soyamatma, swayam jyotihi, panchakosha vilakshanaha, अवस्थात्रय साक्षि सन् निर्विकारो निरंजनः सदानंदः सविज्ञेयः स्वात्मत्वेन विपश्चिता. That Atman has to be understood as Swatmatvena vipaschita. That Atman has to be understood as your own self. That Atma has to be understood as I. Soyam Atma Swatmatvena vipaschita. How? Swayam Jyotihi. It is the most powerful illuminator of everything. I don't want to go into the meaning of these words because we have seen that in the last class. Swayam Jyotihi is the most powerful illuminator. Panchakosha Vilakshanaha, that is devoid of the Panchakosha. I am devoid of Panchakosha, Panchakosha Vilakshanaha, and also I am Avasthatraya Sakshi. I am the witness consciousness of the Avasthatraya. What are Avasthatraya? Jagrata, Swapna, Sushupti. These are the three different states. These states are called as Avastha. Avasthatraya, three different states. The waking up state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. Avasthatraya Sakshi. I am the witness consciousness for these three avastha. Avasthatraya Sakshi Sanna Nirvikaraha and Niranjanaha. Even though I witness these three avasthas, I myself does not undergo any change. Atma, I am Nirvikaraha and Niranjanaha. Even though I transact with this Jagat through these avasthas, because whenever we are in Jagrad avastha, that is the waking up state, we transact with the outside world. Whenever we are in Swapna avastha, the dreaming state, we transact with our mind itself. Even though I am in constant transaction with the Jagat through these three avasthas, I am not blemished by any of these three avasthas. Whatever that happens during my Jagrad avastha, it does not affect myself. It might affect my body. It might affect my mind. It might affect my Vijnanamaya Kosha. It might affect my Anandamaya Kosha. But as Atma, whatever that happens outside, whatever that happens inside my dream does not affect me. Niranjanaha Sadanandaha. Whatever the limitations that I have got, all these things are limitations of my Pancha Kosha. But I myself, the real self, does not have any limitations. That is why Sadanandaha. This is the Lakshana Vakyam for Atma. Lakshana Vakyam for my own self. This is the teaching. This is the ultimate teaching that Upanishad tells us. Now, the Sishya has got a question. The Sishya, he has listened to the class very, very properly. If nobody is asking any questions, there can be two reasons. First reason, everybody understood everything, and that is why no questions arises. The second reason, nobody understands anything. If you don't understand anything, or even if you don't pay attention to the class, even those types of people won't have any question. This Sishya is a very attentive Sishya. That is why Krishna says in Gita, Tadvitti Pranipadena Pariprashnena Sevaya. Hey Arjuna, you have to do Guru Seva and you have to ask him questions. Only by asking questions, all of your doubts can be removed. So the Sishya has got a doubt. The Sishya has sincerely listened to the class, and now the Sishya is asking a question. What does he ask? Sishya Vacha. The Sishya says, Mityatvena Nishiddheshu Kosheshu Eteshu Panchashu Sarva Bhavam Vina Kinchin Napashyami Atra He Guru Vigneyam Kimu Vastvasti Swatmanatma Vipaschita. In fact, this is the homework that I gave you guys in the last class. Sishya says, Hey Guru, Pashyami Atra He Guru. Hey Guru, I tried to remove all these five koshas. I tried to remove all these five koshas. Pranamaya kosha, Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, Anandamaya kosha. I negated all these five koshas are unreal. But the problem is, it is like peeling an onion. I take an onion, I try to remove the leaf, the layers of onion, imagining that there will be something that is in the middle. But I keep on removing the onion, the layers of onion, I end up with nothing. There is nothing inside. In the same way, I keep on peeling off the layers of panchakoshas. Mityatvena nishiddheshu, kosheshu eteshu panchashu. I removed all these 5 koshas. What do I see? Sarva abhavam vina kinchinna pashyami. Atra sarva abhavam vina. When I remove all these 5 koshas, I see nothing but emptiness. Sarva abhavam. Abhavam means emptiness. I see nothing but emptiness. I see nothing but darkness. Even we can close our eyes. We can try to remove all these koshas. What do I see? I don't see anything. There is only complete darkness. There is only emptiness. Shunyata. Only shunyata is what I see. The Sishya asks the Guru, Sarva abhavam vina kinchin na pashyami. With the exception of emptiness. Abhavam means emptiness. With the exception of emptiness, I don't see anything else, hey Guru. Saying that, and then he asks, Vigneyam kimu vastvasti swatmanatma vipaschita. If that is the case, how can I realize my own self? I thought if I remove all these 5 sheets, I'm going to see a Jyoti, I'm going to see a light, and then I can say that, okay, I am that light. I was thinking that, people will sit on meditation for lots and lots of time, yearning for Atma Darshanam, yearning for Atma Anubhavam, but they won't get anything, unfortunately. That is what the Sishya asks. And for this, the Guru answers. The Guru does not say, hey, muttale, unak idu kuda theriyaliya. In our Shastra, the Guru will never discourage students from asking questions. Remember, Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. The Krishna, who's the Jagat Guru, is teaching only Arjuna. If it is a classroom, here undergraduate classes, one faculty will be there teaching 500 students. So maybe if somebody cannot understand something, we will say, okay, how can one teacher satisfy 500 students? But for poor Krishna, there is only one student. The student-faculty ratio is 1:1. Even then, Arjuna does not understand what Krishna says properly. That is why at the end of every chapter or at the beginning of chapters, Arjuna Uvacha, there will be a shlokam. Arjuna will be asking, in fact, the same question over and over again for the first 4 or 5 chapters in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna never says, hey Arjuna, hey muttale, unak idu kuda theriyaliya, innera naana irundena உனக்கு இத்தனெல்லாம் சொல்லி தரதுக்கு நான் போய் செவுத்துக்கு போய் உபதேசம் பண்ணிருக்கலாம், நான் சொல்லியிருப்பேன். But Krishna never says that, because our Shastra never discourages the Sishyas from asking questions. In fact, the reply of the Guru has to be emulated by all of us. Guru says, Guru Ruvacha, Satyamuktam Tvaya Vidwan. The Guru says, the Guru addresses Sishya not as Bala. Previously, he might have addressed the Sishya as Vatsa or Bala, oh child, oh young person. Meaning that, okay, you have not developed, you have not gained that knowledge. But here, the Guru says, hey Vidwan, Vidwan, hey Vidwane, Satyamuktam Tvaya. Nee romba correcta solra. Whatever you have said is Satyam. Whatever you have said is completely true. Nipunosi vicharane. You are a nipunaha. You are an you have become so skilled, nipunaha, in doing this vicharana. Vichara means in doing this analysis, you have become a very big nipuna. And whatever you say, it is true. Satyamuktam tvaya vidvan nipunosi vicharane. Ahamadi vikaraste tad abhavoyam apyanu sarve yenanubhuyante yasvayam nanubhuyate tam atmanam veditaram vidhi Buddhyaya susukshmaya. In the last three, in fact, these are two shlokas, 213 and 214. The first line in the 213th shloka is the address of the guru to the student. The guru is praising the student for asking this question. And the second line of 213 and the whole shloka 214 are the answer for the Sishya's question. What does the Sishya ask? The Sishya asks, I tried to remove all the sheets of my Panchakosha. I see nothing but an emptiness, like peeling off an onion. That is what is Sishya's question. We can analyze that situation with some other example so that we can understand better. Okay. So say you have bought $1 billion house and you are going to move from whatever the apartment that you are currently in, or whatever whatever the house that you are currently in, and you are going to move to that $1 billion new house, brand new house. And what do we do when we are moving? We will obviously clear off all the things. We will obviously move whatever the stuff that we want to move to the new house, we will move. And before handing off your house to the real estate agent or whatever, real estate agent or to the buyer, we will basically clean the house empty. Whatever those things, whatever the things which do not belong to the house, we will remove from the house. We will basically keep the house empty, right? And we hire some packers and movers. We have hired some cleaners, and the movers have moved all the stuff that we want to the new house, and the cleaners have already cleared the house of all the junk, of all the unwanted things, and the house is now empty. You go inside the house and then you see the house. The house is completely empty, you say. And then you come back, and then maybe to your wife or to your husband or your kids or to your parents, you make the following statement. I checked whether the cleaners have done a very good job or not. The cleaners have done very good job. They have moved everything and the house is empty when I saw the house. That's what we say. Now we have to ask, is that statement absolutely correct or not? The statement that we make is, the house is currently empty. I visited the house is currently empty, we say. But if we inquire, that statement is 100% wrong. You know why? The house is not empty because you were standing in the house. You were standing in the house and you were witnessing the emptiness of the house. So even to say that something is empty, there has to be a witness. There has to be someone who is witnessing the emptiness of the house. According to our Shastra, there is a Nyaya. That Nyaya is, whenever you want to say something is not there, you have to witness that. If somebody says, hey, do you have an elephant behind your back? Unless you turn around and see there is no elephant, you cannot say there is no elephant in my back. There is no elephant behind me. You have to turn around and you have to witness the absence of something, and then only you can say that entity is absent. In the same way, the Sishya says, I removed everything from my Atma. I removed all the Panchakoshas and I see empty, just like how we see an empty house. And what is the Guru says? Hey Sishya, you have done the first part rightly, but you have missed your own self. Just like how we often miss our own self when we witness that empty house. You are saying the house is empty, but you were standing in that house. You were witnessing that emptiness. In the same way, Shya says, Guru, you are the witness who is witnessing the emptiness. You are the witness who is witnessing the shunyata. Because in the last shloka, the Sishya says, Sarva abhavam vina kinchinna pashyami. I don't see anything except for an emptiness. For that, the Sishya, the Guru says, Ahamadi vikaraste tad abhavoyam apyanu. The vikara aham means I-ness. The vikara, the change in I-ness, even whatever the thing that we think as I, that changes over time. When we are young, we were thinking, okay, no, I have to listen to my parents, I have to listen to my elders, I have to listen to this people, I have to be afraid of certain things. But the same you, when we grow up, we change our identity. We are the same, but we change our identity. Those changes are called as ahamadi vikaraste. Ahamadi vikaraha. The vikaras, the change in the perceived I. The same as, with our wife, we will be behaving in certain way. But when we go to the office, we will be behaving in certain way to your manager. You will be behaving in certain way to your clerk. We are the same, but our I-ness, our ahankara changes depending upon who we interact with. That is called as ahamadi vikaraha. Tad abhavoyam apyanu. The changes in vikaras, it's witnessed by you. In the same way, the absence of ahankara. When do we have absence of ahankara? During our deep sleep state. During our deep sleep state, we don't have any ahankara. We don't even know that, okay, we don't have that I-ness. We don't have that I conscious. We are not conscious of our own self. We don't have that ahankara as well. So here Shastra says, Guru says, ahamadi vikaraha tad abhavoyam apyanu, tad abhavoyam api. You, the witness consciousness, who witnesses the change in ahankara as well as the absence of it. That person who witnesses the change in ahankara, the modifications of ego, as well as the absence of ego, and that person who perceives everything while that person himself remains unperceived. Sarve yena anubhuyante yasvayam na anubhuyate. This person witnesses all the things, but without being witnessed by anything. Just like how in an empty house, I see that everything, but nobody else is there to see me. If I am that only person in that house, I will see all the objects in the house. I will see the absence of the objects in that house, but there will be nobody else to see me. Does that mean even I am not there in the house? No, you are there in the house, but there is nobody else to see you because you are the witness. You are the person who sees everything. You are the seer. Sarve yena anubhuyante yasvayam na anubhuyate. Atma is that thing which witnesses, which experiences everything. But Atma itself, I am myself, is not to be subject of witness at all. I myself can never be witnessed by another entity. Tad atmanam veditarum vidhi buddhyaya susukshmaya. Know that to be Atma. Know that to be your own self. How? Buddhyaya susukshmaya. With your sukshma buddhi, with your subtle intellect, because this needs a lot of contemplation. This can never be easily taught to anybody. Even if you guys, I don't know how many of you have understood it properly, because it requires a lot of sharpness in intellect. Even if we don't understand, it is not a problem, because the same concept will be put in several different ways in Viveka Chudamani. If you miss here, you will be understanding that in a later time. But one needs to sharpen their intellect. Buddhya susukshmaya. One needs to sharpen their intellect to understand, to appreciate this fact, says the Guru. In fact, when we say Gayatri Mantra, depending upon the person who chants the Gayatri Mantra, the phalan will be different. What is the Gayatri Mantra? Dhiyaha yaha naha prachodayat. The prayer that is said in Gayatri Mantra is, let that Bhagavan sharpen my intellect. Prachodayat means தூண்டுறது. நம்ம இந்த விளக்கெல்லாம் தூண்டி விடுவோம் பார்த்தீங்களா? விளக்கேத்தி கொஞ்ச நேரம் ஆனதுக்கு அப்புறம் லேசா அந்த ஒளி மங்கி இருக்கும். அதை தூண்டி விட்டா இன்னும் பிரகாசமா எரியும். That process is called as prachodayat, தூண்டி விடுறது. And what is the prayer? Let my intellect be sharpened is the prayer while chanting the Gayatri Mantra. For a Vedantic student, this is what he means by sharpening the intellect. Hey Bhagavan, hey Savita Devata, let you please sharpen my intellect, buddhya susukshmaya, so that I can understand my own self, who is the witness of modifications of ahankara, and who is also the witness of the absence of ahankara. Remember, even when there is darkness, complete darkness, there is no light, there has to be a person who is witnessing the darkness. So that's what here we pray while chanting the Gayatri Mantra. So depending upon who chants the Gayatri Mantra, the phalan will be different. For a Vedantic student, for a mumukshu, he does not chant Gayatri Mantra to get material benefits. Maybe for a student, he will be chanting Gayatri Mantra, let my intellect be sharpened. When he says that mantra, he will be meaning, okay, I have to excel well in the class. When an officer, when a person who works in the office chants Gayatri Mantra, let my intellect be sharpened, he will be asking for, acumen in whatever they are doing. He will be asking for that intelligence with which he can climb the corporate ladder, with which he can win over in the office politics. But whenever a mumukshu, whenever a student of Vedanta chants the Gayatri Mantra, this is what he will be wanting. And here in the 215th shloka, Acharya says that Nyaya, Tat Sakshikam Bhavet Tatyad Yadyad Yenanu Bhuyate Kasyapyanu Bhutarthe Sakshitvam Nopapujyate. He exactly says the same thing. In order to say something is not there, there has to be a witness. In order to say something is not there, in order to say, okay, this room has nothing, I have to be there in this room witnessing that nothingness. That is what here Acharya says. When there is no entity to witness a thing, when there is no entity to witness a thing, we cannot say that that thing has been witnessed at all. So whenever we witness something, there has to be a witness. Whenever we experience something, there has to be an experiencer, and that experiencer can never be experienced. And that is my real self. That is my own self, says Acharya in this shloka. With this, we will finish today's class. Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So, the traditional way of studying Vedanta comprises of three parts: Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. Shravanam is listening from a guru. Whatever we are doing now is called as Shravanam. Mananam is understanding whatever we have heard. Shravana literally means to hear. We have heard some things in the class, and certainly we will have doubts. Either, that doubts can be cleared by our own reading, or we can reach out to the person who has taught them, and we can get those doubts removed. That is called as mananam. We are also doing mananam either one-to-one. Somebody will send me messages in WhatsApp or in the group. So mananam is also done. But the third thing that is very, very essential for Vedantic study is called as Nididhyasanam, meaning reliving the teaching, meaning doing the dhyanam regularly. Doing dhyanam not for 5 minutes, but for 24/7. Whatever we have studied in Viveka Chudamani for this half an hour or 40 minutes, we have to relive the teaching regularly. And there is a systematic way of doing that thing. It is called as Vedantic meditation or Nididhyasanam. Because now we have come to a point. We have come to a point to understand the real self, to understand who we really are. We really have to own up that knowledge. To give us my famous gulab jamun example, what we have done here is to make a jeera, is to make the gulab jamun, and we have just to put that gulab jamun into the jeera. What is Nididhyasanam is soaking up that gulab jamun into the jeera for a length of time so that the ball really accumulates all the sugar from the jeera. That is called as Nididhyasanam. And it is absolutely essential that we do that Nididhyasanam daily. Initially, that will be for 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day. But in order to derive maximum benefits, we have to extend that 24/7 in our life. And as a first step, from next class, I propose we will be doing some sort of meditation. Now we know the real nature of our own self. We have to internalize the teaching, just like how that gulab jamun soaks up all the sugar from the jeera. We need to soak up that knowledge. And from the next class, I propose we will be doing the Nididhyasana. We will be doing a guided meditation so that we won't learn anything new from that meditation, but we will be reliving that knowledge. There are several systematic texts in order to, Adi Shankara has written and other have written in order to facilitate that process. So from the next class, we will be spending, we will start with 5 minutes and then we will slowly increase the time so that we also do the process of Nididhyasanam as well. So be prepared. With this, we'll finish today's class. We will see in the next class. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.